Hi everyone, SoulSilver17 here. Let me first, like usual, I do not own this picture. This is not a paid video. Alright, okay. So, here's the thing. Eh. I'm basically kind of surprised. I thought the Jason video was going to do pretty good. Oh, but, I mean, I did lose a couple subscribers. Probably a lot. Who knows? Still making the videos no matter what. That's not really bugging me. But, I mean, if you guys want to leave a like, like a subscribe or whatever, it's your guys' choice. But, let me first, like usual, I don't own the picture, but the thumbnail, non-paid video. Hold up, gotta sneeze. Okay, so, it took me a while to read the manga due to some things, and I also had to do some other stuff. So, what I mean by other stuff, I mean, like, I have to still do something for my job, training videos and such, and it's just kind of basically, I just started, and then I only did like 2 or 3 of them, and I was like, I can't do it right now, because it was like, just some topic that I didn't want to listen to for the night, so yeah. So, I'm basically just gonna make this video. Hope you guys like this part, because where I'm gonna go with this is kind of the whole entire part where season 1's near the ending. It's just Belle. Basically, he's gonna go into the dungeon and such. And wait, let me just check something real quick. Alright, Belle's gonna go into the dungeon and such, and some things are gonna be extremely different. Okay? I'm making a lot of things different. I'm also gonna make some references. Like, I mean, why not? I mean, it'll work, in my opinion. So, yeah. Basically gonna see again, hopefully you guys will like these references. Because, I thought that'd be a good thing to bring in, because I thought it will work well. So, let's look into it now. So, this is basically part 9, What If I Was in danmachi? Alright, so, last time we left off is, basically, told basically Hephaestus about basically my drawing, showed her my drawings and such. She gained a new skill, basically, to basically make soul boss weapons. Well, not soul boss weapons, but I mean boss soul weapons for monster cores and such. And I thought that was an interesting idea. Only it cost like 1,000 or maybe 2,000 souls. But yeah, so basically, also, all the gods know about basically who I am. Well, not specifically who I am, but what I basically am capable of. Along with, how should I say this? Along with basically people, people are gonna find out from their god or goddesses that there may be someone out there that is going to be hunted down by some unknown entity from another dimension. Maybe. I don't think it will happen, but, I'm just saying that just in case if I ever decide to. So, yeah. Oh, and also I'm just going to basically go into the dungeon and kill a whole bunch of monsters and go buy stuff for basically Belle. But the thing is, I want to just mention Goliath right away. Just want to mention Goliath, or Rex Goliath, is level 5. And we know from basically the Goliath that basically was in the floor 18 because of Hestia was basically summoned was brought there by the dungeon to kill Hestia. But since that Goliath could basically regenerate because it was a different Goliath, black one. I'm basically making the regular Goliath be able to regenerate too, because that's what it seems like at level 5. That's what it can do. It can use its mana to regenerate. So yeah. Okay, just want to point that out real quick. But yeah, so now that's all said. We're going. So basically, it's during the night. I think because I've rewatched my video. I think it was saying I made basically the armor from the thief. Basically, Geralt. No, not Geralt, but Thief, the video game that came out of the PS3 and PS4. I don't own it, nothing. Just look it up. Basically, I made that, took it, and basically I was gonna be probably most likely headed to the dungeon, but I make a quick stop. I go over back basically to the Hestia Familia, and basically Hestia is basically up. Was wondering where I was until I walk in. She goes, "Soul, you're okay." I'm like, "Huh? You thought I wasn't?" She goes, "Well, you weren't back, and it's night." And I'm like, "I only came by to tell you I'm gonna go into the dungeon." Which she's like, "Why?" He goes, "Gotta basically get back here. I need more Valis, so I gotta basically go in and buy some. Well, when I get back, I gotta buy some stuff for basically Bell and his crew." She goes, "What? Why?" He goes, "I just have a gut feeling something's gonna happen, alright?" She's basically looking at me and she looks a little bit down and she goes, You're not telling me the whole truth." "Why?" Which she finally confesses that she knows I've been lying. Which I basically am kind of like taken aback by it. I'm like, "Hestia," I go, She goes, "Why are you not telling me?" Which I just blink and I just sigh. So I just basically will lean against the wall. I'm like, "You wouldn't believe me if I told you." She goes, "If you, how do you know I won't believe you? That's for me to decide." Which I'm looking at her, I see some tears in her eyes, basically, and I'm like, and I think to myself, I feel like a jerk. But she does deserve to understand. Which I just look at her with a serious expression now. I'm like, "Listen, what I'm about to tell you may seem impossible, but for me, this was not, well, even real. This is all just basically drawings, voice acting, and just in general not real at all." But she's just blinking. She goes, "Huh?" And I'm like, "Remember I talked about anime?" She thinks so. She goes, "Oh yeah, they were drawn. Basically, also people voice acted, and it was not real." I'm like, "Yeah, this is an anime world to me. Something that basically shouldn't be real, but it is. And I'm in it. I'm in another dimension where anime has its own home dimension where I am in, and it's one of my favorite animes. Kind of cheesy, very cheesy at times, but my favorite. And yet I am here, and I basically kind of think, though, I would love to be there, but the system is kind of, well, saying if you're stronger than everyone, then basically they're beneath you, but yet if you're basically weaker, then anyone who's stronger than you is above you and such. Not really the best world to live in. Unless you're just a normal person and you don't have to go into the dungeon. So she's like, "So for you, this means it's just, yeah. This means basically everything for me is just normal seeing it play out. Though I haven't even watched season 3 of this anime though. So I've been meaning to, but it's, when I heard it came out, I was like, oh, cool, I'll watch it someday." I never got to watch it. She goes, "So you don't know everything?" I'm like, "Nope, all I know is basically up to season 2 ending." She goes, "So what's gonna happen to Belle, Lily, and Welf?" I'm like, "They're gonna get trapped into the dungeon. They had to go down further. You will go there with basically Hermes, basically Osvi, which he likes to call his member, and basically 3 others for Takamichi. That basically were the reason why they basically went down into the dungeon. Well, further at least, to floor 18. Which she's just like, "So you're trying to
I'm trying to make sure basically they can survive. They had bad injuries, especially Wolf of his leg. Bell was due to exhaustion, and basically I gotta buy whatever that repellent from monsters, at least of 3 or 4 of those, so they can get further down without having to worry about it and not exhaust themselves. She basically just nodded slowly. I'm like, look, I'm sorry if this may be a shocker to you, but you see why I basically couldn't tell you? I didn't want to basically hurt your feelings or basically make you think basically to me this ain't even real. I know this is real. I bleed, I die, I come back, and yet it may just sound like I don't care about no one. Which Hestia is looking at me, and I'm kind of letting it out. Basically, somehow how I feel a bit. Like, people die in those dungeons because of me, basically, how. Because I'm here, the dungeons get more monsters are way more stronger, and I'm the cause of it. I have to basically get stronger just so I can keep going further down and try to basically find a way to get back home so I can leave. Which her eyes widen, which I just basically cover my mouth. I'm like, I look at her, I'm like, Hestia, I'm sorry. She goes, you want to leave? I'm like, and I just sigh again, just look away. I'm like, it's the only way I basically can keep everyone basically from dying. Or at least save many lives if I can. Even though I like being here, I don't want to basically cause many people problems. Which Hestia basically can understand, but basically she has, it's because I'm a no good goddess. Which she doesn't understand why she's asking. I just look at her and I can understand why, because I want to leave and go back. But I just say no. It's because I'm just more troubled with being here than basically staying. It's better off I leave and keep people safe than basically me being here. Which she just stays silent. I just say, it's just basically would just look at her and basically get off, well, stop leaning against the wall and go back towards the stairs. I'm like, I'll be back. Bye. And just leave. In which basically Hestia would basically just be sitting there on basically her bed. And, well, after basically a few minutes pass, tears would start becoming down her face, and then she'll basically just go to the pillow, bring up the blanket, and, well, start crying. Basically, me, while walking, I just sigh. I'm like, I should never have said that, but I just let it all out. I don't know why. Which I would hear Biro saying, because you want to go back. You are feeling guilty because of this, my liege. You're feeling guilt because of everyone basically who dies in there. It's because of your fault. People who should have basically survived would basically be dead now because of you. Correct? Which I'm like, yeah, that's how it seems. The monsters are slowly getting stronger, but that could change. I just need to leave. And maybe they'll stop and go back to the way it was, or just be in a standstill. Who knows? Which Biro would then say, I understand. I hope that I can come with you. I'm like, yeah, hopefully. So, basically, I would basically, when I get near the dungeon, I would just, put on my hunter outfit, my basically adventurer outfit, and we'll go into the dungeon. Basically, by the time I would get to basically the 17th floor, I would basically just take a rest, and I basically, because I ran out of essence, I would just sigh and be like, I got hit a couple of times. The monsters keep on getting stronger, and I have to keep on getting better. I should have asked Hestia to do my, basically, status update. Which basically Brew would just probably, would basically think, maybe I could basically tell you what you were at before we came down here. Which I'm like, you can do that? I do not know, my liege, but I can try. Which I'm like, they're just shrugging, like, go ahead. So basically, what Biru would just basically would come out, put basically her hand on my back, and basically would you at least have some magic power to go into basically the contract and basically see what it would have been before basically we came down to the dungeon. Which basically goes, huh, since our first come around, your basically stats were basically 13, but because of when we came down here and such, they became for strength 138, endurance 151, dex 153, agility 160, and magic 133. But because your soul stats, they are increased by the number of points are in the stats. Which basically she takes off her hand off my back, and I just look at her, I'm like, how are you able to do that? She goes, maybe because I'm basically your familiar? I basically can, do this, since we are basically a contract? Which I'm just thinking about, like, well, that could make sense. Basically that would be kind of handy. At least you can go into my past record before we enter the dungeon, right? She nods. I'm like, all right. It's a good thing though I still have some food on me. Want some? Basically, I'll just take out basically my inventory, basically the bento box. It's one of the bento boxes, basically. I didn't finish it all. Which basically Beer was like, please. So I gave basically my food to Biru, and basically just started eating. I'm like, so, by the way, do you even have like a monster crystal in, part of you anymore? A monster core? She would not know. She goes, no, I actually have a soul. Which I'm like, huh. Well, I should have figured that much. She basically Biru would just nod, and she's like, to be fair though, I don't know why, but it seems like the dungeon's not that hostile towards you than others. Which I'm like, maybe it is, but just waiting for me to be off my guard. Say like a monster could appear right at this moment, but since we're at the boss entrance, she would nod. Basically, like, yes. I wonder though. So after a few more minutes of eating the food and such, I'll get up. I'm like, all right, Biru, you basically stay in my shadow. I'm probably gonna die at least 5 or 12 more times. She goes, why 5? I'm like, I think that's how many times it's gonna take me to realize how strong he is and basically its pattern. The first few times. So, I feel like I want to make a joke though, that based on the 5th time I die. She goes, what's to give me the joke? I'm like, you'll see when I basically do it. So, what happens is very simple. I go in, Goliath comes out, basically me taking it out, basically, the cursed abyss sword. I'm like, alright then, big ugly, let's go! As I get squashed immediately. Basically me coming back, I'm like, that's embarrassing. It's like Ornstein and Smell all over again. Ornstein and Smell, I'm like, 2 enemies fight exactly the same time. One's big, the other one's fast. Well, the other one's basically skinny. One of them is made for speed, while the other one's made for power. And basically, Smell just jumps up in the air and basically uses his butt just to basically, slam you into the ground, basically, and killing you in his second boss phase. She's like, wow, that's really embarrassing, Beer would say. I'm like, yeah. But it's actually kind of funny when some moments are happening. I actually kind of laughed a few times during those fights. But this is just embarrassing the first time around. She goes, my liege, it's okay. You just have to not get so close to the basically big giant boss monster, I know. Second time's a charm. And I last a good bit. I give it some damage. I do get technically thrown into the wall and then basically kicked and die for that way. And then as I come back, I'm like, okay, just let's go again. Third time, a little bit more making a strategy and such, doing it, trying to figure it out. Fourth time, I do basically die again. But I died to basically, well, I died basically due to its basically shout. Which, I'm basically on the fourth try after I died. And basically, I'm going to my fifth attempt. I'm like, it's regenerating. It's effing regenerating. What the hell? How the hell did I not notice? She basically, well, Beer was like, maybe we can try to basically, well, since you use your fire, maybe we should try to use basically the bullets and basically try to get it up close and personal. Which I'm like, true. Let's try that. So, yeah. Fifth time, I got chopped in half. Basically, I just basically come back. I'm like, you know what? I'm doing the joke, and I'm gonna kick its butt this time. I am very determined. Which Beer was like, my liege, let me help. I'm like, Beer, I know I had you kill monsters a lot basically with me on the way down, but I do not think killing him would be a good idea. Besides, if it's regenerating, that means it's probably level 5. Alright. Serious moment now. I'm not dying a 6th time. So basically, I go in. While I'm walking basically to Goliath, Goliath sees me and basically is kind of a little bit confused. Well, still confused and a little bit angry. I'm like, Goliath, I've come to bargain with your life. Which, basically, people basically comes down and goes like, that was the joke? Crappy, I know. But here's the thing. I'm pissed. I'm in the mood to basically kill it. Beer's just blinking and she just sighs. Feel like, why, my liege? Why? I'm like, I don't know. Which basically Goliath just roars. I'm like, alright then, alright, Beer, let's go! Just running basically forward. Beer just sighs and just follows after me. So, in a sense, Goliath would try to swing, me jumping over it, basically using the abyss sword, slicing it, basically its arm, cause a big amount of basically damage to it. It screams out in pain. I'm still running on the arm while basically Beer slashing at the legs. As basically, it basically Goliath is screaming and trying to back away, which Beer was using her speed to basically make sure the damage is consistent on basically the legs. And so, with me obviously running towards Goliath as when Goliath looks, I immediately slash its eyes, cutting basically its sight off, and basically I would jump off immediately, and basically tell Beer to, get out of the way, as then all of a sudden just a full-on basically fire basically coming from my arm, and then I basically would just throw the punch, and a huge wave of fire would just hit Goliath. As basically Beer would use accelerate on me and her, as we just basically get faster and just start, attacking it. Well, attacking Goliath. I would take up basically my katana and just start striking along with the basically abyss sword, causing a massive amount of damage while Beer was going around basically the body now and doing so. So basically what happens when basically Goliath eyes regenerated, me immediately taking out basically the Hades gun and basically shoot out basically 2 spear bullets. Basically hitting basically Goliath's mouth shut and basically causing it basically to explode. As basically I'm like, hey Beer, do you think we're basically can't doing any much damage to it? Which Beer will land next to me. I was like, no matter what damage we do, it keeps on regenerating. You need to hit it with 1 shot, my liege. Which I'm like, 1 shot? Basically I look at the abyss sword, basically I'm like, I got it. She's like, huh? As then basically I charge up a massive amount of fire into the sword. Which basically her, Beer was just like, you sure this is gonna work? I'm like, as basically I point a little bit more as the flames now turn blue. I'm like, maybe. Use accelerate on me. Which she would basically, and then basically, after basically the buff is on, I just dash forward basically with my speed increased. Goliath, as soon as his head came back, just doesn't basically see where I was to see Beer. He's about to basically strike until, well, he basically just sees someone jumped up, and when he looks, he just sees me with a flaming blue great sword
fire around it. As, yeah, it just sears a quick slash and right into two. And poof. It's dead. As they just land, I'm like, fifth time's the charm. Whew. I'm tired now. Which Beaver just comes over and goes like, good job, my liege. I'm like, do you think you leveled up? Just probably not. If we basically can get you all the way up to basically probably S rank in each stat, maybe triple, maybe we should come back here and basically face Goliath again. Which she would nod. Basically though, she goes, but what about this monster core? Tilting her head to the side. I'm like, that's simple. As I get up and basically walk over to it, I just put my hand on it, and then all of a sudden it just goes into the armory. Which she goes, technically it's, if I need it, it's basically my resource. So armor's resource, swords are resources. She just blinks and goes like, true. Give me a minute, gotta put wood on the fire. In which basically after she says true, I'm like, now, I wonder, had 5,000 and basically 800 souls, which basically Biru says, and we have killed approximately over 100 monsters because of each floor, and because basically the 12th and 13th floor have more monsters coming around, and every time lower, which basically I'm like, yeah, and I wonder how much was the boss. Which, before I can even say anything, I look at my arm. And here's the thing, everyone, I kind of basically saying this, Goliath's defeat was 50,000 souls. Combined with basically me having 5,800 and killing all the monsters until this point of before Goliath, I have approximately probably gained 6,000 souls, 7,000. We're gonna say 7,000 souls. Wait, no, 7,000. That. No, that wouldn't be right. Probably it's 70,000, because there's a lot of monsters and such on each floor. So 70,000 souls plus 5,000 and 580. So give me a minute. Okay, we're gonna say 4,000. 49,000, roughly 49,000. Lowballing it. Okay, so I added it all up. 49,000 souls gained from basically killing all the monsters, and coming down, I'm doing the lowballing, and combined with the 50,000, combined with my 5,800, I gained up to 1,000 and what? Actually, not 1,000. 100,004 and 800 souls. Which that'll be enough to make me basically all 30 in every stats and a little bit extra. So yeah. So, though, after I see that, I'm like, I can level up. I can basically level up that bad. Well, that much. Oh, man. And before my sitemate could continue, a note appears. As basically it says, good job on killing Goliath. I'm very impressed. You only died 5 times, but your determination was strong enough. So you may basically become level maybe, in danmachi, in this world's stats, you may be already basically 600. Maybe 5 and some. Good job on that one. Which I'm like, this unknown god or goddess, why did they send me a letter? Whereas basically I also noticed you think you can go home. As then basically I'm basically feeling a pit in my stomach, just something drop. I'm like, wait, what? Think? And they keep reading, goes but you can't. You're stuck here. After all, the abyss will be after you. And someone like you going back to a world like that would never be able to basically, survive. Well, your world will never be able to survive. And besides, how would you get back to? think about it. You who don't know anything how to basically jump through dimensions would just wander through the void for all eternity. Basically never get back home. Never basically see anyone here. So basically you are pretty much basically stuck here. So Kurosaki, hope you basically enjoy basically knowing this information. Which I'm just like, you're lying. Like, they can't keep me here. There has to be a way back home. There's always a way. As basically, I just keep reading over and over again. As then, basically, basically the letter just burns up. Basically, not well as quickly as it does, but the flames are more ferocious this time. As my hand is shaking, I'm like, I can't go back home. I'm stuck here. As Beerus says, my liege, I'm like, and basically just saying somewhat of a depressed and sad tone. I'm like, Beerus, just go back in my shadow. She goes, yes, my liege, and she would. I just walk in back. Basically, meanwhile with Hades is basically working on some stuff, basically, of new monsters that could be created. And though he does watch and he just smirks, he's like, that hope that was inside of him now is gone. His torment. This is basically entertaining to the highest degree for me at this moment. Which the dungeon just says, you're cruel, Hades. He was like, of course. I brought him here for my entertainment, not for him to leave. Besides, he can't leave. I did point that out. The abyss will be after him. And how could he ever leave this place when he doesn't understand how to get back? Which the dungeon does not say nothing. And so, basically, with me going up, monsters are just not there. Which I don't even care. I'm just walking back. The dungeon took pity on me. Basically, when I come out, it's morning. I'm just basically looking up, and I have somewhat dead eyes again. But then I just sigh, but like, great, I'm stuck here. Now I feel like even worse now because I told Hestia I was gonna look for a way. I'm the worst. As basically I just go back to the Adventurer Guild. As basically as soon as it opens, they just see me coming. Basically Edna's there. She goes, Hunter, what's? As basically when I look at her, she kind of just kind of a little bit taken aback because of almost dead looking eyes, or just somewhat dead eyes. She goes, Hunter, because I just bring out basically my bags of monster cores, which Biru has basically gained some levels. I will basically do that later when I do mine. So, basically she sees the bags of monster cores and she would not. And basically I would get all the regular ones done and I would just basically leave and go into an alleyway and change back to normal. And go in my basically civilian clothing and keep something around my neck so no one can see my scar marks. So basically I walk around and such and I go to the potion, the Miyachi basically guild pharmacy home, which they're like, hello, how can I help you? I'm like, how many high potions and potions do you have, along with basically MP potions that can actually they help you with your mind? She goes, we have about 50 basically HP potions, 120 potions, and MP potions we have 90, which I'm like, I'll take 20 HP, high potion, high HP potions, 30 potions, 30 HP potions, and basically 20 MP potions. She goes, alright. Basically, she gets that and such, and basically, puts them in a crate and be like, that's gonna be about 250 ballas. I'm like, kind of cheap. I think to myself, which I just give it to her. She goes, thank you, have a nice day, which I'm like, alright.
So, basically after that, I would basically go around, basically looking around basically different shops, and I'm like, excuse me, is there any basically repellent for monsters? I would just ask a shop owner, which they're like, oh yeah, just head down this way, basically make a right, and basically you should be there. I'm like, thanks. So I basically follow the directions, I find the place, and I'm like, hello there, I'd like to buy basically 3 basically monster repellents. Basically they're like, yes, that'll be 600 values. I'm like, here. As basically, they basically would tell me how it works and such. I'm like, thanks. I'll keep that in mind. Basically, I would just leave. I'm like, now then, should I buy anything more? Lily's gonna lose her crossbow, so yeah. So I basically go over to basically a weapon shop, find a crossbow that would fit Lily, and basically, pay for that and leave. And basically when Belle, basically Lily, and Welf are there, I'm talking to Hestia, as Hestia basically just, saying basically good, and basically gave him good advice on the basically, the salamander wool. Basically, they see me, basically, well, she will see me as she gets a little bit, upset, which Belle's like, Goddess, Hestia, what's wrong? She was, it's nothing. Basically, Lily's, just says, Soul! Wave high, which I'm waving high a bit. Basically, they see me carrying stuff. Which I'm like, hey guys. Which basically Elf is like, hi. Have you met? He goes, nah. Name's Slow Kurosaki. I can't shake your hand right now, I've got stuff in my hands. Which he's like, yeah, Welf Crozo. Cool. Which he's like, you. You know who I am? I'm like, yep. Don't care though. I mean, your last name, don't care who you are. You're just Welf. He's like, thanks. Give him a minute. Okay, so, basically, Belle's like, but those, supplies, that looks like a crossbow, but on the wrist. For your wrist and such, or arm. Which we're like, yeah, that looks like mine. I'm like, well, because this is a replacement one. Along with basically some crossbow bolts. She's like, huh? And these are basically HP potions and basically, basically some health potions, high health potions, and basically, magic potions to increase your magic. Basically, after you're almost out of basically of it. Which Bella's like, huh? And, well, basically bought something to help you if you can't handle the monsters and you're in a tight spot. Which Welf is like, huh? Which basically after sniffing out of it, but Bella's like, you bought this for us? I'm like, yep. Which she's like, but why? He goes like, well, no offense, you don't know what's gonna happen in the dungeon, neither do I. And I'm the guy that goes over to basically floor, 16. Which basically Lily and Welf are like, wait, what? Bella's like, makes sense. Which Welf was like, wait. He goes to floor 16? I'm like, yep. Which, well, basically Lily's like, and you don't have no supporter? I'm like, nope. All by myself. Basically me thinking, Biro, I'm sorry, I can't let them know about you. Which she says, it's alright, my liege. I understand. But I kind of see she's a little bit upset, which I'm like, ugh. I feel bad now, even more. Why do I make people basically upset every time when I start caring about them? Or when I care about them? But after me snapping out my little, basically, tirade in my head, which Belle's like, I can't, which I'm like, Belle, each one of you are going to basically need more supplies than you think. Which I look at basically Lily. I'm like, Lily, be prepared basically to lose something. So keep some stuff on you. Find basically whatever basically you can basically to hold basically the more HP potions, the high ones, and basically the basically normal ones. Along with some magic potions, alright? she just nods and like look at me with wealth and basically bound like even you two. There's basically enough for all of you to take. Basically, I basically will hand them each item basically to a different person, which was like you bought monster repellent. I'm like, yep. You never know when you're gonna need it. Anyways, get going, guys. I just stretch. I'm like, I gotta take a nap. And I've basically been up all night in the dungeon. Which, that was shock Bell. He's like, you went down to the dungeon? I'm like, yep. Wasn't that bad. So yeah, after I walk past him, just pat him on the shoulder like, see you around, Bell. He basically just nods slowly and say thank you, which me just waving basically bye while walking. After Hestia says her goodbye, she will follow me into basically back into the base of the church. As then, instead of it sitting on the couch, I'm just sitting in a corner basically with my left leg basically bend, my foot on the ground, basically my left arm on it while putting my head against it. Which she basically hasn't seen me like this before, besides that one time. The only time when she ever saw me like this was when something bad happened, or when I did something bad, like kill those people. Which she comes over, she's like, Soul? I'm like, I made you upset, you don't want to talk to me. So it's alright if you want to leave me alone, or not talk to me for a while. She goes, no, I am upset that you want to leave. But I thought about it and I understand this ain't your home. But what got you upset? Which, I just stay silent and I just sigh and I just basically look at her. She kind of she sees me basically in a depressed state. Basically, I say, I can't go back. Which basically has his eyes basically slowly widen and she was like, wait, what? Like, I thought I could go back because that's what happens to izakais. People sometimes, they can go back home and I thought this would be one of those times. No. I don't. This is my life here. I stay. Which basically Hestia I know I basically made Hades basically explain all by saying I would, I can't die if I do, he'll bring me back and such. I'm essentially sort of immortal, ageless. So she knew that, but she didn't know I was basically staying here. She basically gives me a hug, like, I'm sorry to hear that. I really am. I'm like, it's fine. I just was hoping I could go back. Even though I'm getting used to basically this world, there's so many things I like to do that I can't now. But it's whatever. I'll just deal with it. Even though it sucks. And basically she stays hugging me for basically a few minutes. And then I'm just like, Hestia, don't you have to go go to work? But she basically just blinks and she goes, oh my god, you're right! And she just rushes in basically getting change as I'm basically just fell asleep immediately, just taking my nap. And she goes, so don't! As she looks, at me and she just sees me sleeping. She basically just couldn't help but smile and basically bring a blanket over to me and basically put it on me and such and basically would hesitate but gave me basically a kiss on the cheek saying, I'm glad that you're staying here permanently. I really would miss you if you didn't, if you had to leave. And I'm also sorry for me being so selfish. So basically she would get up and basically go to her work after she finished changing. And then Takamichi, would basically be there. And let me see if I I said Takamichi. Takamatsukichi? Taki. Let's just say that. the guy Taki, the god. Just, basically, would still say everything to his basically Familia. He could basically, from the manga, Hermes would basically talk to him and such, and basically Hestia would talk to basically, also talk to Taki. But meanwhile, with me, while that was all going on, after basically so many, basically, probably like an hour or two of sleep, I'll basically get up and see the blinking on me. I'm like, Hestia must have gave it to me. I would have a small smile. And basically, I would get up, put the blanket back on, basically on the bed, as Beer would be like, my liege, basically, we should have basically got your status changed. I'm like, yeah. By the way, Biru, what's your stats now? She basically will, take a minute to basically, to look over her stats. She goes, I'm all in H. I'm in H, but my endurance is in G, which I'm like, huh. Well, you were taking a lot of hits from basically the monsters down there, so that's a good thing. Which, in the long run at least. Which she would none and such, which I would basically ask for them. She would say basically her strength is 193, her endurance is 243, her dex is 198, her agility is 199, and her basically magic is 190. Which I basically would nod. I'm like, good. Let's go to Festus and see what type of gun we can make. Well, not gun, I mean. I would literally just laugh. I'm like, wow, I still need some sleep. But what type of weapon we can make? So, basically, Beer would just nod and basically would, go back into the shadow as I just leave to Festus, Familia. So when I arrive there, basically I'm like, yo. She basically, Festus like, hey, let's... Which I'm like, huh? What's wrong? You look different. I'm like, what do you mean by different? She would just sigh like, what happened? I'm like, women's intuition? She nods. I'm like, I just sigh, basically just say, like, I can't leave. She's like, huh? I can't leave this dimension. I'm permanently stuck here. Which her eyes widening goes like, you were going to look for a way to go home? I just sigh, and basically I just look her straight in the eye and go like, yes. Her eye wide, and before she asks why, I'm like, look, I'm not from this dimension. I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not even basically supposed to be even basically here right now talking to you. I had a life, even though it was not much of a life. It was my own, basically back in my home dimension, so I wanted to go back. Is that so wrong? Which she basically doesn't say nothing, and then Sai goes like, no, it's not. I can't blame you, or be mad at you. And I'm like, yeah, Hestia didn't take it so well, though. When she goes, wait, you told Hestia? I'm like, not intentionally, I was just frustrated and rambled on and just said it. She took it pretty hard, I think, because I felt like I felt like shit. Which she just looks at me, I'm like, I get it, I am shit. She goes, no, just guilt. But yes, you are. I'm like, thanks. Anyways, you got the tools to make basically a boss weapon? She goes, yes, I do. Which I'm like, cool. So, she goes, wait, what do you mean, why are you asking that all of a sudden, you faced basically Goliath, did you? I'm like, yep. But the Loki Familia should have been only 2 weeks. Which I just signed, like, well, by the time I got there, I was already out and waiting. I think because of basically the stronger monsters, the dungeon basically is, well, the dungeon is basically producing boss monsters a lot more quicker. Not too quickly, so should be good. Which basically, Hephaestus would nod slowly, go like, well, I got basically finished, barely. I worked up all night, well, half of the night. So, let's see it. Which I would take out I would basically summon out Goliath's Monster Core. Which basically, Hephaestus will look around and be like, okay, we need to take basically some pieces of it, without basically shattering it. Which I'm like, alright. So, basically that's what we did. We got basically a good sized pieces of it. And, well, I'm like, so how do we do this? She goes, well, pour some salt. Well, you start pouring souls into basically the crystal. And then, I basically will start putting it into the fire. Which I'm like, cool. So, that's what I do. As then, basically, while we were doing that, and Hephaestus would I'll ask, watch her. So, basically, she wouldn't be doing really much. She'll basically be hitting the core and such a few times here and up, hitting it, and basically, with the souls, every time it hits, it makes a shape. Which I'm like, the souls are making the shape that basically what the boss weapon is. And basically, Hephaestus goes, exactly. Basically, since I am basically a god of the forge, this is still new, but it says I was only at level 2. It seems if I forge anything, I basically go up in stats with it. But since this is basically a level 1 boss, this basically shouldn't take that much. And so, well, not level 1 boss, the very first floor boss shouldn't take that much. As basically after she's finished with it, basically I'm like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. That is cool. But she's like, huh? Give me a minute. Okay, in which, Hephaestus is like, what's this? I'm like, well, Hephaestus, this is basically a pistol. A pistol from an anime that I know. And it's basically called Everifretta. But she's like, huh? It just say weakest to strongest, that's all I can remember from it. The guy named Hajime went down to the dungeon, and the monsters there were really tough. He was low level, he was basically an alchemist. So, it wasn't good for him. He nearly died. He survived. He ate monster meat. He became somewhat of a human hybrid of it. And basically, he kept eating monsters and gaining levels and get stronger. And what he did with alchemy was create one of these guns. Surprisingly, it's only one. He basically named one of them Donor, Donner, and then the other one's Slag, which Hephaestus was like, well, we only had enough material to make one. Do you want to have another one? Which I'm just take out my Hades one. I'm like, no, but we need to test this out. I need to know right away what this weapon can do. She goes, well, there's a lot of noise in our area. So we need to, I'm like, no, that's perfect. She goes, huh? These weapons will make a lot of noise. So we don't want to cause anyone to panic. She would just sigh again and be like, alright, let's go. So we would go and, well, there's a lot of noise, but it's also in the a workshop, sort of, where it's all metal. She goes, alright, so here's the thing. You're going to shoot one of these metal targets. Over there. Which I'm like, It's a training dummy with just metal on it. Like, yes. This is sort of a storage area and testing out the weapons. So, I'm like, alright. I take aim, but I'm like, wait a minute. This thing takes electricity to, if I remember correctly, ignite the ignition and then fires and basically gives it basically a faster piercing. It's not like I could basically do it, as what happens next is very simple. I feel magic pull on my basically on the weapon, which I'm like, I see. It's like basically the Hades pistol when I put my spirit bolts in it. Alright then, let's see what you can do. As basically I just start shooting, and immediately basically it's piercing the basically the armor and right through the, well, right through the dummy, which I'm basically like, it turned basically my magic into electricity that basically made it stronger. As I just basically shoot 3 more bullets. As basically I just basically look at it, see if I need to reload. As basically all of a sudden basically bullets already there. I'm like, regeneration? Me like infinite bullets. Yes. Basically, putting it away and such. Which Hephaestus is like, okay, that's just broken. I'm like, hey, you think I can make basically some holsters for my pistols? She's like, yeah, we can do that real quick. So, while doing that and such, I'm like, oh yeah, Hephaestus, can you basically, use your godly forge? I got a shield I want to add on to this. Basically bring out basically my, basically compact shield. She was like, what do you mean? It was like, well, after we basically finished up making the holsters and such, I basically explained to her about the Abyss shield and basically the reason why. She was like, fine, we can do that. So, basically, I'm like, also, how many souls did that really take for basically the crate, just a pistol? She goes, 1,000. So, I have 1,003, well, 100,003. Alright. So, basically, after she basically brought out the forge, release her godly power, she does start working on the shield. And basically, she merged basically the compact shield with basically the Toria's shield. Well, the Abyss shield, I mean. And the fact is, I'm like, wait, why is it? She was put some magic into it. As when I do, it turns into the Abyss shield. I'm like, awesome. Thanks, you're the best, Festus. She goes, no problem. Now then, you better get going. I'm like, yeah, got it. So, basically, I leave and such, like, give Manny a check on something. Okay. So, yeah, so like I said, I leave and stuff, and I get back to my home, and basically Hestia will be there. She was like, Soul, you're back! What was taking you so long? I mean, when I got back, you were gone. I'm like, oh, got a new weapon. She's like, really? I'm like, it basically takes out, Donor. She's like, what's that? I'm like, this is basically, well, a weapon from an anime. She's like, okay. Which, I'll explain to her basically what I did with Hephaestus. And she goes, wow. So basically, how does it work? I'm like, well, it seems basically this gun basically taking my magic power and basically turning it into electricity, which enhances the bullets and basically give it more of an armor piercing basically potential. Well, she's like, wow, that's just, I know. So, basically, I'm like, I do have the rest of the boss crystal, but I should probably go turn that in for money. She's like, seriously? I'm like, yeah. She's just like, you didn't turn in? I'm like, I wanted to see basically what I would get from it. She's like, how? And like, take some souls, put into the crystals, and bada bada boom. Yeah, boss weapon. It's very powerful in its own right. She's like, alright. Wait, we never test out basically, we never see basically how long you improved. I'm like, we don't have to do it right now. She goes, yes we do. Wait a minute. Boss. Crystal. How many times? 5? You died 5 times. I'm like, yes. And I did a dumbass joke reference. She was like, okay, what was the reference? I'm like, Rex Goliath, I've come to bargain with your life. Where she's just like, that was so stupid. And all of a sudden, Beru comes out, like, I know, my liege is an idiot sometimes. Which I'm like, Beru? No, bad. She's like, huh? Which Hestia's like, get, uh, is that a monster? I'm like, secondly, yes, but secondly, no. She's like, what do you mean by technically no? I'm like, well, I kind of explained what happened. So she goes, so let me get this straight. You found a ring in basically a secret area in the dungeon. Yes. And then basically, many days later, you fought the ant, basically that was known, basically that was going around killing people. Yes. And that's why you died 15 times. Yes. And basically you turned into your familiar. And which you said familiar is basically a contrast with animals or basically humans or demons. Yes. So technically, this won't kill humans unless it's your orders. I'm like, yep, pretty much. Huh. And she's a queen. I'm like, yep. She immediately grabs my arm and she goes, listen here, you ant queen. I'm not gonna let you get even closer to basically him. Which I'm like, Hestia. She's, what? She's technically my partner. So she has to be always close to me. Which basically Beru was like, just blinking, well not blinking, just looking at Hestia, staring intensely. She goes, what's wrong? He goes like, you're so small. Which Hestia was like, don't, it's all about my height. Which I'm like, I just laugh at that. But she goes, just let's see your stupid stats already. Which I'm like, alright. Just patting her head. Like, and it's okay to be small. Makes you look adorable. Which she's like blushing a bit. She goes, shut it. So, my stats basically are, well, for strength, I'm thinking I would have gone up at least 300. So, yeah, I'll basically just tell you after I'm done with it. So, basically, as we check my stats, they're all D now. Which he's like, well, you're 738, 731. Wait, no, not 738. 730. And basically 741. Then basically 749. 750. And 751. Basically, that was strength, endurance, dex, agility, and magic. Which I'm like, okay. And since you have basically 100,003 and 800 souls, what do you want to do? I'm like, simple. Whoever basically ain't level 30, please make it level 30. She goes, alright, let me do the math. Okay. So basically, here's how much souls I have left. And I did get my souls after after my second round with Goliath. I've been getting my souls, I just haven't said it. So I did get my souls back in the middle of the fight in the sixth fight. And the sixth attempt. Which I always make sure I die right near the entrance of the boss fight. So, oof. I made something a 10 instead of a 30. So basically, all my stats have 30 now. I have 43,121 souls. She basically has to ask, do you want anything else? I'm like, yeah. She's like, huh? What is it? I'm like, could you basically make my arcane, not my arcane, my mind and my willpower 40? Which she's like, okay. What else? I'm like, okay, so basically, how many do I have left?
just since I took 10, you're down to approximately 30, well, 30,300. Like, huh. Okay, so, need to do my levels real quick. Okay, so basically I'm like this. Okay, so... Can you also make basically my strength 50 and basically my dexterity 40 and my endurance 50. And I'm gonna save the rest. She goes, alright, so basically you are using now 3,000 souls. And, well, 3,126 souls. So you're down to 16,801 one souls left over. You gonna save them? I'm like, yeah, why not? I'm gonna go into the dungeon anyway, so I'm gonna have to basically save them. She would nod. But then she was like, wait a minute, what do you mean? I was like, I basically look at her and I'm like, remember? She goes, oh, yeah. So, I'm like, well, let's go out to eat. I got basically attendance of a party to go to. She goes, huh? Celebration of me leveling up. I said, oh, yeah, Bill told me about how basically that tavern or pub basically did it. Like, yep. So, yeah. After basically that, while basically I'm going out partying, well, basically not partying, going to the tavern and enjoying a meal of Hestia, and basically Seer, Ryu, and basically the two tavern cat girls, also basically coming from time to time, and basically spend some money, spend time with Mama Mia, talking about what I did or such. Well, not for the whole entire day, basically about the dungeon. We do basically go back a little bit in time to basically that morning. Well, basically, Loki is just sighing like, I need more information, so... Well, actually, I got it all. I'll just tell Eyes and Finn. So basically, Loki basically would use a magic item and basically call up Eyes and Finn. She goes like, Eyes, Finn, you guys there? Which basically, Finn was like, we're here, Goddess Loki, what's wrong? Which basically Loki was saying, nothing, I just wanted to basically tell you something. I found some interesting news. Basically, this also will help Eyes clear her mind. Which Eyes is like, wait, what? As basically the image shows her fully, goes, uh-huh. Allow me to explain. So, yeah, Loki, like, basically a flashback where Loki's like, I need info. More. Maybe there's also maybe if I talk to him, he can help. Yeah. So basically, Loki will make a message to Hades. When Hades picks it up, he's like, Loki, I'm in the middle of something. What is it you need? She goes, come over to the surface, I want to talk in person. Which then Hades gets quiet and goes like, I'm on my way, just let me finish this up. And so after he's done, he basically appears and he was like, what is that you want to know? He goes, Soul Kurosaki. Which he just blinking, goes like, straight to the point. Understandable. She goes, yep, so. Mind telling me? Which he's like, what's there to tell? The boy's not trusting. He has trust issues, anger issues, mild depression. Maybe. And amongst other problems, but basically he can be kind. He considers himself not that kind. And she goes, not that, but that's good to know. I mean, like, information on what basically those worlds are, even though you showed us. He goes, oh, so would you like to play these video games? She goes, yeah, I want to know. He goes, well, I can only give you so much time, so... Let us start. As he will snap his fingers as the game systems will appear. As Loki plays each one for at least probably a good 2 hours each, and she just sighs like, those games are hard. Those humans in that world basically know how to make good, basically, games, but they're so difficult. Especially that Demon Souls. Which basically Loki,
would say pout, which Hades would chuckle. He goes, so now you see why basically I thought it would be good for him to be increased every time he dies? She she would sigh, but like, yes. It doesn't seem like basically he'll go completely since he was an Ashen one. And not go hollow, but the Revenant side. It was, I know. Hopefully, basically, Hestia would feed him soon. She was, alright, but you mind showing me telling me what he's done so far in his life? Which he just grins like, ooh, I was hoping you would ask. And so, with one of the TVs that would basically technically appear because of he basically needed the game systems, he basically did send them all away, but the TV will appear again as he basically plays everything I've done. After she saw that, she's like, oof, that, well, she goes, ouch, that had to hurt with the orc and the Goliath, which basically, he just chuckles like, yes, and you should have seen the look of his face when he basically found out he couldn't go home. It was priceless. She goes, you like to cause him so much problems, do you? He goes like, of course, it's fun. She just rolls her eyes. She goes, now, I got all my information, thanks. And thanks for letting me play those games. They were really fun, but difficult, and annoying, and a pain in the butt. But she just chuckles, and you're like, no problem, at least you understand what he's going to be going through. Especially the Revenant side, which she would nod. And so, after that, Hades would leave, and basically Loki would do her thing for the rest of the day. And then basically, meanwhile, with basically, well, at the end of the flashback, she goes, and that's what happened. So basically, Finn's like, huh, interesting. Which basically, eyes are just blinking, in which Loki looks at her and goes like, eyes? I know what you're probably thinking. But no, he's human. Even if he is ashen, undead, vampire, well, revenant, hunter, whatever he is. Many different titles. But she goes like, it's not that, just, how's he basically so strong? Which basically Loki just shrugged with determination. Hades did say basically he basically does give him to basically do things easily sometimes, just to go along with things, and then he can be stubborn about some things. I guess this is just one of those stubborn times. Anyways, that's not a reason why I called. I wanted to call and let you both know this. And I thought of something of an interesting idea while I was telling you basically my interactions with Hades. Which basically Finn's like, what is it? Which she just looks at eyes and goes like, eyes? I want you to get close to basically Soul Kurosaki. Which basically just makes her blank and Finn's like, goddess Loki? Which she basically, Finn say. And she would look at him, she was like, yes? Are you sure you're goddess Loki? You would never let anyone get close to eyes. Which she basically was like, well, I already told eyes this, so I'll tell you this. One, I want basically a good drinking partner, and for him to tell me stories. And two, as you know, he can't die. So, I can't get rid of him. Besides, he's way too much interesting, basically, to get rid of. Which he's just like, so you want eyes to get close to him, and he basically goes, yes, as you know of Elden Ring, as I told you. He basically have the ability to kill a god. Well, kill gods eventually. So what do you think will happen when the gods betray him? Which that doesn't take much of a basically thought process, and Finn would say he'll come after them and kill them. Which he will nod. He goes, yep. So, I want to have at least an alliance with him and the Hestia Familia, in secret by having eyes to get close to him. If she so chooses, I'm not forcing her. I'm asking her if she could. And she would look at her and go like, so can you please, eyes, get close to him? At least become friends? When she's like, I don't know. Which basically she rolls her eye, well, basically Loki rolls her eyes a bit and she goes, you're thinking of him as a monster, but look, he had no choice of becoming a revenant. It just happened. I saw basically his story as I told you. He keeps on trying so hard to refuse to bite into basically Hestia's neck and drink her blood, it's kind of obvious that he doesn't want to do it. So he's choosing to not to, but Hestia keeps reassuring him, and he does it. So technically that's not a monster, right? Which basically eyes will nod, and basically shows good. Now then, I want you all to, well, basically try to get along with him. Don't tell Bet, though, or anyone who you don't trust. We can't let this go out to the public. Got it? Basically, those two will nod, and she goes, alright then, I gotta go. Got some work to do. Bye. As basically, as soon as the call ends, Finn goes like, Goddess Loki's very different when it comes to Soul Kurosaki, huh? Which eyes just nod, and basically she goes, what do you think of the situation with him? Which Finn just says, it's basically is interesting, and basically, well, hurts me to say this, but a normal person basically would break. But someone basically like him, if he played all these games before, if that is what Loki said, he played them, then he basically has determination to keep basically going. But you never know. So, will you try to get close to him? Which eyes will nod. She goes like, alright. But if you do fall in love with him, let me know. Which she basically, which eyes says, I won't fall in love with him. I'll become friends only. Which basically, Finn will look back and see basically eyes has a little bit of a tinge on her face of pink. Which he just basically has a smirk mentally. He goes, well, this is going to be very interesting. So yeah. Now we basically would go to where Hestia, well, the next day, the celebration was good, everyone had fun. Hestia would basically run over to, well, what will happen in canon? She runs over to the guild, makes a request for, say, Belle, and then we're basically going down to the 18th floor, but they have an easier time because the items I gave them, and basically Goliath won't be there, so they'll be able to get there easily. And, well, maybe he won't. Probably it probably only takes probably 2 days, and your life will come back. I'll have to think about it for the next video, but anyways. So what happens next is basically this. Takamichi, or Taki, basically will come over with his Familia members and say basically it's his, it's what happened to what happened to Belle is basically their fault. And, well, basically, Miyachi, and basically his companion, along with, technically his companion Nazu. Nazu basically is there. And basically, in Hephaestus, I'm just there, I'm like, So I would go down into the basement, which basically, well, Hephaestus knows, but not the other two. And right when basically Hermes comes, basically and saying, basically saying he doesn't mind helping out, which basically Hestia's like, thank you, which basically he's about to say something to Osfi, and then I come out basically my equipment, which I'm like, Hestia, I'm gonna go to the dungeon. She goes, alright, Hunter, but I'm coming with. I'm like, basically I just look at her, I just basically just nod. As I look at Hephaestus, I'm like, Hephaestus, we need to go to your forge then. I need to make something for her. Is that alright? Which Hephaestus with a smirk, I'm like, alright. And I look at Hermes, I'm like, Hermes, get basically Ryu. And don't even basically ask me who, basically why I'm giving you orders. We're gonna have to get her anyways, so just do it. You three. As I basically point to the three that, hold up. Let me just find their names. Okay, Makoto, Chizuka, and Oka basically would, accompany me, to basically the 18th floor. And, basically I'll look at basically Hestia, I'm like, and we have to basically make you a new, basically, armor. Because you're not going to go down like that. Which, Hestia would just nod. Which basically asks me, like, who are you? Like, shouldn't my picture be obvious? I'm the wolf hunter. Which honestly would just be blinking and just saying, but you sound like, yeah, don't tell no one. Basically, I just basically grab Hestia's hand and basically, Festus saying, alright, let's get going. And basically we walk over, which, well, we're going to be walking over to Festus Familia. Which basically Hermes just sighs and be like, well, we got the muscle and everything, but technically speaking, he may be right. We may need her. So and such, in the manga, that's how they get basically Ryu onto the team. But he does mention, and besides, I was basically told by basically Sil Kurosaki to get you. He said we'll need you. So we're gonna go rescue Belle Cornell. And obviously Sil Kurosaki's going with. So I thought you'd be interested to know. And so basically that, kind of makes Ryu base a decision, easy. In which, when basically we arrive, so we would go over to basically to me and Festus and Hestia, basically, uh, you know, go into her basically workshop. I immediately basically would ask basically, Festus if there are any materials I can use in her workshop or she can go get them. She goes, there should be enough there. Also, what do you want me to do? Measurements for Hestia? Which she would not. So, yeah, she'll get the measurements, and Hestia's like, what are we doing? I'm like, we're making you armor. The monsters down there basically in the middle floors, basically there's going to be hellhounds. I'm not going to have you burn, and besides, I'm giving you basically armor to protect you. So, it'd be a lot more easier. You could take more hits. She's like, wait, why? I'm like, I just look at her like, Hestia, you're someone I care about already. I'm not gonna let you get hurt. I have to protect you, but I don't know if I can basically protect you fully. So, this way, basically, you have basically some good armor on you. I basically can keep you safe. Okay? She would nod and such, and basically prove it won't probably take like 2 hours of it getting done, and afterwards, basically, I will basically give it to Hephaestus. She basically says, alright, I'll basically start basically adding the silk foam. Basically, well, have that salamander silk. I'm like, I'll pay you back when I can. Just, she basically thinks about it. She just goes, how about basically, well, I give you more difficult tasks and you basically can try and make basically any weapon you basically draw. I'm like, fine. She just smirks at me. So she basically starts making the outfit out of salamander silk and basically put the armor on it and such. Keeping basically Hestia safe, as she tells Hestia to change into this, as she would. As I'm like, Hephaestus. She goes, huh? As I would take out my katana, I'm like, do you think we could basically start making it? She basically blinks, I'm like, oh yeah, those pieces of rivers of blood. I'm like, yeah. And where she goes, well, we can try, but it'll probably take a couple of hours. I'm like, we have until 8. Well, she would nod. And so when Hestia basically comes back, she sees basically we're back at the forge, and, well, a couple hours pass as she's just watching in amazement as basically bada bing bada boom. My katana now has this, basically the color of the rivers of blood, which I'm like, nice. As I sheath it, basically she goes, alright then, now, you two gotta get going. I'm like, alright, thanks Hephaestus for everything. She goes, just come back safe. Bring wealth with you. Oh, yeah, here. Basically, I take basically the sword, magic sword, like, tell Wealth this message for me, both of you, please. As it'll be the exact same one. So, 8 o'clock hits, everyone's is there. Everyone has salamander silk, besides me. Which, basically, Hermes goes, huh? You're not gonna bring anyone? Like, no, I don't need it. And then when Ryu comes, she goes, are you sure about that? I'm like, yes. Now, here's a few things you need to all understand. When we enter the dungeon, my personality would change very quickly. 2. I would attack basically monsters basically in my way or basically ones that basically will come at me with no hesitation. 3. When we get to the boss, you all basically have to run while distracted. Which Ryu basically, Ryu about to say something about Hestia. I was like, "Are you sure?" Which I would not. Like, I know how to defeat it very easily now, so don't worry. She just looks at me basically with a, questioning look. But then all of a sudden, basically we hear someone basically saying, "Oh, wait up!" Which I'm like, "Oh shit!" As basically I look over, it's basically Seer or Seal, which she goes, she caught up to you, which I'm like, hi. What are you doing? She goes, well, here. I want to give you this. I forgot to give you it. Also, give you this. It's a necklace. Also, this. This was basically in a card, and, well, here's the card, which basically I'm like, huh? So I would take the card and such, and basically the bracelet, and I've seen basically 4 triangles. Not 4 triangles, 3 triangles, and basically it says, from Lily, thanks for saving me. Twice. Well, not twice. Thanks for saving me. Which I'm just kind of basically smiling beneath my mask. I'm like, and this necklace? She goes, well, I don't really know much about it. Someone left it, but it was addressed to you. Along basically with the bracelet. Which I'm just blinking, I'm like, cool. But then I'm asked, so what does the triangles mean? She goes, well, I heard there was an old legend way back when, but I don't know much besides basically what they mean. One means power, the other one means wisdom, the other one means courage. Which I'm just thinking, Legend of Zelda? No way. She goes, anyways, I won't tell no one about this, so don't worry. So go. Go, get going and save Belle. Which I'm like, I just nod, I'm like, thanks, Seer. She goes, no problem. As we basically head into the dungeon. Meanwhile, with Seer, as someone comes up by, he goes like, really, Freya? She goes, which then basically she'll chuckle, like, what's wrong, Mia? Like, basically I did that? She go, basically, Mama Mia was like, it's not that. But the fact is, you gave basically that Lily girl's basically present to him after she was basically threw it away. She was just embarrassed, Freya would say. Well, Seer, aka Freya would say. And besides, it worked well with the gift I was gonna give him. I at least had to help him. Which basically, Mama Mia's like, anyways, come back to the pub, we got work to do. She goes, alright. So while they're walking, she would ask, but why do you think that Lily girl, basically, you say threw it away? Goddess Freya. She goes, shyness, thinking it was stupid. There's many different things which basically could have been. So she just basically decided to buy it, as we have a flashback of Seer watching Lily basically looking around and basically buying something. And basically her about the legend, and then basically her buying a card saying thank you and saving me. And basically but then basically, she basically left Lily. And when basically she saw Lily basically going with, to basically the church, she saw Lily basically stop and just saw a trash can and saw the basically card and the basically bracelet, and then threw it away in the trash and just run. Which basically she picked it up and such and thought that would be a waste. And then basically saw the Triforce, basically, triangles, and decided to, give the gift basically someone gave her a long time ago. In which basically Mamma Mia says, but that necklace, as soon as the flashback ends, she will say, Mamma Mia will say, that necklace, wasn't that from someone from long ago that you knew? She would stop and goes, yes, someone very determined and courageous like him was looking for something in the dungeon that was basically there that, prove your worthiness. You could earn it. It was a treasure basically that they could have gone in. It was sad that he couldn't get it. But he didn't need it, for he was a hero of his home, like Cain. And which basically Mamia would just not be like, and he was like family to you, wasn't he? Which Freya would just chuckle like, who knows? And so that's where I'm gonna leave it off, everyone. I hope you guys like it. Have a nice day, night, wherever you are, and bye.